Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and Happy New Year. Today I'm going to go into a fresh look and I want to call this just a fresh monochromatic look. This is one of my favorite looks. I like looking very natural with a lot of makeup, but natural, you get it. I like using very soft tones, very neutral tones that just I feel more myself when I wear these tones. If you want to learn this look, just keep watching. Before I begin, I want to let you guys know that before I cleanse, moisturize, anything, I like to make sure that my eyebrows are nice and clean. So I do tweeze. I make sure everything is clean, and just anything, any peach fuzz, any hair around this area, around here, you have it. It's not a secret. So I like to make sure that all of that stuff is away from the face. I feel like I get a smoother makeup application, and I feel like everything just like blends nicely and it looks flawless. So that's first. Second, I do cleanse my face, and lately I've been using the Tatcha Deep Cleanse. This stuff, I've been using this for definitely over a year, and it's been working for me. Generally, when I like something, I like to stick with it if it works, but sometimes because of the seasons, I do have to switch products, and then I have to experiment, and I get little breakouts like this when I try something new, which is completely normal. I think the skin just has to adapt to certain products before you give them a bad review. After I cleanse my face, I go on with a toner, and I've been using this one by Ren, and it's been working for me. It's something that I got as a sample, and that's what I like about samples, that you discover new products and really gives you a chance to explore. I like it. It hasn't made me break out or anything like that, and I just feel like I get a nice glow. I would have used a pad, but I ran out, so I'm using a cotton ball. Now that I'm nice and toned out, I'm going to use the Ole Henriksen eye cream, and I had it's in here. It is the Ole Henriksen one. I just like to keep everything in small little containers, because that way everything fits in my vanity very nicely. And I really do love the Ole products. They're very creamy, very concentrated, and especially the brightening line. That's been my favorite so far. I've been using that for over 10 months, I would say, and it's just really working for me. I keep this area very moisturized because this is where you see the creases, and you really want your concealer to look flawless, so you really want to make sure that that area is super hydrated. So before I apply foundation, I like to make sure my face is super moisturized. That's how the makeup is going to go on and look its best. I've been using the Ole Henriksen C Brush Brightening Double Cream. I don't know if you guys seen my other videos, but I was using the original C Brush cream. So when I found out that they were coming out and launching the double cream, I was like, I have to try it. And it came out and I've been using it. If you love the C Brush cream already, then you're really gonna love and appreciate this double cream because it's just that much more creamy. And apply it with a brush. When I'm in a rush, I do apply with my fingers, but when I do have the time, I like to use a stippling brush and really get it in there. Make sure that it penetrates through the skin as much as possible. It also smells so good. I feel like it's like a orange creamsicle, which are like my favorite. I feel like I like the weirdest things. Like I'm just like not like just a vanilla or just a chocolate person, like orange creamsicle. That's what I like. And I do like to go underneath the chin and bring it down to my neck because these are the areas where you see the first signs of aging. So we want to make sure that we're keeping this nice and moisturized, super hydrated, and just try to keep it all firm. Even if I have lotion on my hands, like I try to get it in on the palm of my hands because you also age faster on your hands. So if you didn't know that, now you know. Now I'm super moisturized and I do want to go into foundation. I was using the Dior foundation, the Forever Skin Glow, and then I got a little much lighter and I had to start mixing it with a different foundation. So I went out and I had to kind of investigate for new colors and all this good stuff. And even though Dior Skin Glow was my favorite foundation, I couldn't find the color that made sense, and I really don't want to be mixing colors, especially when I'm in a rush. I just want something that's going to make sense right away. So in the midst of looking for foundations, I found the Givenchy Couture Everwear. It's a 24-hour wear satin finish, full coverage, and comfort foundation with SPF 20. Have to shake it, and the color is in Y207. So I tried, I think it was the Y210 and then a tone above that, which were all beautiful, but this one just made sense for this season since I'm a bit lighter, and the other ones were a little too tan. So I'm gonna pump some into the palm of my hand, and generally for me with this one, it was taking 2 pumps. I like to mix it a little bit so that I can dip my foundation brush in there, and whatever's on my finger, I like to take it, put it onto my nose, center of my forehead, and chin. Taking my IT Cosmetics complexion brush, just gonna dip right into there and start buffing it onto the skin. And this brush is really light, so it's really fluffy, so it's really gonna distribute the product evenly. So yeah, I was really liking this foundation. I made sure to try it before I really could say anything about it, and the coverage is really nice throughout the day, and I feel very luminous. It's like the perfect coverage for me. And I like to take whatever's left in the brush and bring that into the eyelids. The nice thing about this brush is that it has a smaller end to it, so you can get right in. I don't like to pack foundation underneath the under eyes because I'm also going to layer it with concealer, and then I'm going to lock it in with some foundation at the end. So I don't want too much product under that area. Now that I have seamless coverage, I'm going to go ahead with my cream concealer, and I'm just going to go in underneath my eyes using the Graftobian concealer palette. For me, this has all the shades I need, so depending on what my skin tone is looking like and the seasons, I will go and I will mix these concealers, just depending. This is like newer than my other ones, so I haven't touched some of them, but generally I like to go in with these. I like to go in with these two, this one, and then these. That's usually where I stay. I don't know where my smaller paintbrush is, but I'm going to use the Morphe M707, and I'm just going to paint on some concealer, and I mix these two colors, the second and the third one. I also want to get into some things with you guys pertaining to the new year. I like to kind of set goals for myself and go in with a positive outlook, and I know that you shouldn't be waiting for a date to do that, but if that's the mindset already, there's no harm in that about setting positive goals and perspectives for the new year. I'm gonna be filming something separate and touching base on a couple of things to kind of put out some positive energy, and then bring that somewhat into the cheeks because I'm gonna blend that out and it's going to give me some extra coverage. I'm also going to bring that into my nose because I do want to make my nose a little smaller. I like it to look a little more defined and pinched. So it looks like I got a little nose job, you know? Then I'm just gonna lift with the concealer because I like to have a more snatched look here. Just kind of brings the eyes up a little bit, you know? Kind of makes me look a little more woke. Taking a thinner brush, I'm just gonna go in for the concealer again and make a thin line straight down, like super thin. I'm gonna start like right here. With the same brush, I'm just gonna make sure that I softly blend it out, keeping the same placement. It's because I like to use the brushes as much as possible. When I'm in a really crazy rush, I'll go ahead and beat down with a beauty blender, and that's just like a really quick way, you know, to get the makeup blended out. But I really do prefer the brushes. I feel like you get just such a beautiful application with the brushes. With the sponge, you can lose a lot of product. I'd rather use them to place my setting powder and just to softly blend anything that's remaining. And I'm going to put some of the lighter concealer onto my chin, right there, and the Cupid's bow. So now I'm just going to blend the concealer, and I'm taking the Morphe M436 brush. It's a stippling brush, and just going to softly blend that out. So I'm going to take the mirror. I really can't see. And it's so creamy, so it's allowing me to just blend everything out nicely. And I like to stipple a little bit just so that I don't break through the layers that I've already created with the foundation. You don't want to beat your face, you know, you don't want to abuse. Now I'm ready to contour, so I'm going to take the deeper shade. It's the last color in the second row, and I'm going to use the same stippling brush. Pick up that color and kind of softly blend it out onto the palm of my hand, just because I don't want little dots from the stippling brush on my face. And I'm gonna go ahead and bring in some contour. I always do this. Pressure is key. You don't want to abuse. Again, you don't want to be so rough on the skin, because then you're gonna get patches, like lighter patches on your skin from just like the makeup that you removed. If you feel that the makeup it's giving you a hard time moving around and it's not as creamy as it was before when you first started, this is a nice trick to put on lotion on the palm of your hand, work it back into the brush so you can get some of that mobility back. It still looks a little harsh, but I'm going to go back in with foundation, so I definitely don't want to overblend it. Using the same brush, I'm going to go back in, pick up the contour color again with some lotion. Give a little bit of depth there. You know, some people go ahead and they draw lines on their head and they draw their contour in. I personally don't like to do that anymore. I used to do it just for fun, but honestly that's sometimes harder to blend out, and it's like almost like you're indenting the layers of makeup that you've created. So I don't like to play around too much. Here you're just like lightly painting it in, and that way you're not going to get any streaks. When I have a light hand, I try to keep my finger placement as far away from the brush as possible, just because that's going to make me work a little bit lighter, as opposed to holding the brush so closely. That's going to be more for, definitely for a heavier application, and that's not what I want here. I don't want to break through all those layers. Here I'm blending away from my forehead, just because I don't want to lose this area where I applied the lightness. I'm also going to contour my nose. So I'm going to bring it in as close as possible. And I also bring it up, bring the rest of it towards where my eyebrows would normally begin, just to give it some structure. And I like to cut it right here to make my nose look a little shorter, because that's where it tends to kind of drop down just a bit. This is what works for me. This is not going to be for everybody. There's going to be areas that you want to enhance, and there's going to be areas where you want to define. You guys want to make a longer appearance and just bring a longer illusion. You would bring the light color further down or further up. You want a wider nose. You're going to make sure that you bring the lighter areas a little far out. Same thing with the dark, bring it far out. It's going to bring in some of that dark color into the creases of my eye. That way it looks like I have eyeshadow on. Because you guys know I don't really like heavy eye makeup on myself on a normal basis. So this is just gonna give me enough definition. Blend that out with my Morphe M436 super lightly. Now I'm ready to blend this all out, so I'm gonna take a light pump of the same foundation, dab that down a little bit. I'm gonna pick up this MAC 107 brush, and I'm gonna dip just one time, super light. Kind of pat that into the skin. And I like to start below the contour and then work that up into the contour. It starts melting everything together and it looks a little more uniform. I have to be so careful with my hair because it's so blonde. I hate when the dark colors get into my hair. So annoying to get out. I'm going to take a little more of that foundation with my small stippling brush, dip it right in, and go right into the center. So I'm just going to blend it out, and I like to pat it in like that. See? And I like to bring some contour underneath my chin, just because who doesn't benefit from that? Switch back to the bigger brush just so it's faster. Now I'm gonna set again, but I'm gonna take the Nars concealer, and this is very creamy, but I'm not gonna go all the way underneath the eye. This I'm gonna keep close to the nose and like right in the center. I'm gonna stay in the center. I'm not gonna bring this out anymore. I'm gonna take a brush and make sure that's nicely placed. The contour again one more time, just because I feel like it could get lost with a foundation in the blending, and it also makes it stay for longer periods of time. And take this It Cosmetics brush and start blending it really softly. And just like make it disappear into the eyebrow. Now that we have all of that good stuff aligned, I'm gonna take this fluffy brush because I want to do a light application using the Hourglass setting powder. And this is just to set those creases in place. I'm gonna set with powder a few times, so just pay close attention to how I do this. I'm doing this with a fluffy brush just to give it a base, a super thin layer of setting powder. And I don't want to use a rough hand because I don't want to mistreat my creases. That's going to create even more of a crease, and that's what I really don't want. Just a light layer. Picking up a damp beauty blender, squeeze the excess water out, and with the same powder, I'm going to pick up a little bit, just a little bit, and apply that to the under eyes again. Bring this into the chin area, the center of the forehead. And it's just a really light layer. I'm not going to wipe that away or anything yet. I'm just doing it on the areas that I highlighted and concealed. So many steps, I know. Taking a dry beauty blender this time, only because I need to order more of the powder puffs. Otherwise, I'd be doing all of this with a powder puff. I prefer that a little more. So I'm going to take a dry beauty blender. I'm going to press it in towards the skin. I'm not going to let it bake, because I really don't need to let it bake. It's bright enough already. I've already used really bright concealers. And just patting the product in there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take more powder and go underneath my cheeks. And then I'm gonna push that in again. And I know it looks like a lot of powder, but honestly it blends so nicely with a dry sponge, or dry but still like spongy. Like it's still nice and spongy. It's not super firm. Or with a powder puff. I just like to press it in there. And then with whatever's left, which is pretty much nothing, I bring that up into my face. I'm gonna set my face one more time, and this time I'm gonna be using the Kat Von D Shade and Light brush. Take this side, and I'm gonna dip that into the MAC Select Sheer Loose Powder. It's a translucent powder, and this shade has almost like a soft peachy undertone. Use this to kind of unite everything that I have going on. So it's not going directly onto the highlighted area or the contoured area. It's going in between everything. And then I'm gonna start bringing that in between the in between the contour and the concealer, very lightly. It's not changing the color at all. It's just marrying these tones together. Everything is softly set, but it's not completely mattified. There's still a nice luminosity to the foundation and all of my previous works. Pat in underneath the eye. Again, pushing the product in. If you want to wipe away and if that works for you, you can. I would just go in this direction super softly. I wouldn't go this way, only because then you're going back into the crease, and I feel like that's a little too rough, and that can actually bring out the crease again. So you never want to do that. You kind of just want to either softly brush out or push the product back in. I'm gonna take the Marc Jacobs Omega bronzer, and this shade is in Tantastic. It's the Omega bronze, and it's the Coconut Perfect Tan. It's a limited edition, but I believe you can still get the shade. Mine's a lot beat up. And I'm gonna take that lightly, tap some out, swoop that down. Bring the bronziness back forward into the face. Not too much, because I want everything to look luminous and bronze from within the skin. I don't want the makeup to look like it's packed over each other. Even though I did work that way, I still want it to look like it's all coming from within. The rest of it can be used to kind of bronze the bottom of your chin and underneath your face and your neck. I also like to take a crease brush. This is a Sephora crease brush. I'm not sure if it had a number. I just see a 10 on the number, so I don't know. But it's been one of my favorite crease brushes. I mean, I have a couple from Morphe and Sigma, but I always tend to go back to this one, and I think it's probably because it's the most used that it's so fluffy. I'm pretty sure that if I used my other brushes, they would probably be as fluffy as this one. But let's go back in, taking the same bronzer and going back in just to keep the vibrancy there. The reason why I like to use the same shade, I don't really feel like I need different palettes unless I'm creating a really fun look, is because I like to keep a monochromatic theme, and it just kind of works for my face. Everything just tells a story and it just all makes sense together. I'm gonna take a tighter brush, and I'm using the Morphe M573. Going back into the contour color or bronze color, tapping some out, and then I'm gonna bring this into the tip of my nose. right at the bottom because I want to shorten it. And then I'm going to take the tip of the brush, recontour one more time, but this time it's going to be a dry contour. Just to kind of set what I've already done. I'm going to bring it closer. And that way you can see going down the same line I created at the beginning. I'm going to take some of that sheer powder again by MAC and just bring that in one more time into the areas that I bronzed so that they blend nicely and they melt into the makeup, especially right here. I really just set all my makeup and now I just still want to brighten underneath the eyes. I don't do it right away just because I like the makeup to sit and set in place and kind of do its thing. Over time the makeup does change a little bit and it sets into the skin nicer when you allow it to do its work. I want something that's a little brighter than what I used overall, but I also don't want it to look super highlighted. I kind of just want it to look glowy rather than insanely highlighted. So I'm using this center shade with Kat Von D's brush, and I'm also using this pink shade. I'm just gonna mix them together. I'm gonna press that in to my under eyes. I'm gonna go into the KKW Forever highlighter, and I'm gonna bring in some glow back in to my under eyes and the temples of my forehead, Cupid's bow, chin, and my nose. This highlighter is like really natural. It's not too shiny, so it gives you a glow from within. We're just gonna go right underneath the eyes. Now I'm gonna take the lip liner in Nude 1.5 by KKW and just gonna line my lips and contour a little bit. I could have done this with a cream contour, but sometimes I just don't like that much product laying on my skin, especially around my lip area. Feels weird, feels heavy. Same thing with the lip liner. I like to take it by the end and just softly line. And I do like to overline a little bit, but I really don't need to. It's just something that I like to do, just a tiny bit. So when I'm doing nude lip colors, it makes the lip color last way longer. And I like to bring in the lip liner a little bit and use it as a lip color almost, but I don't go all the way in with it. Then I'm gonna go in with one of my favorite nude colors. This one's by Lorac in Centerfold. Just like to kind of pat that in because I don't want to ruin what I already did with the lip liner. I took the shade by Nars in Belle de Jour. It's a sheer lipstick and it's probably one of my favorite nudes. It goes on a little glossy, so I like to take it in the center of my lips just to make everything come together and to add a little bit of glossiness and juiciness to the lip. I don't like going out too far unless I do like a lip gloss look. Just with the nudes, over time it tends to fade, especially if like you're out, you're eating, you're drinking. So I just like to keep the glossiness in the center and it lasts a little longer that way. Bring back some of the liner again because it does get lost in the transition. I'm going to take my MAC blacktrack liner, and this is the Pro Longwear Fluid Line eyeliner gel with a Sigma EO5. There's so many eyeliner brushes that you can use. I'm just simply going to use this one and create a very thin line at the beginning. I like this one because it kind of gives you like a smoky effect. It's not like the darkest black. I like to go upwards just because it kind of makes me look a little more awake and a little more lifted. And I'm really just going to smudge that out. Kind of soften it up. Just going to give my eyelash a little curl right before I add the eyelash, because if I do this, sometimes it'll pull off and it's really annoying trying to get it back on. I'm going to put my eyelashes on right now. I'm going to go in with Kylie's Winter Kissed Pressed Blush Powder. It's a really pretty pink. And I'm going to take the fluffier side of my brush and just chisel my cheeks here. Tap some out. This just kind of softens the cheeks up and gives it that really cute blushed look that we're all seeing. Personally, I'm really a fan of it. I don't know where I first saw it, when there was like some pink in the cheek. I want to say it was Natasha Denona, who I was seeing a lot of like her looks with like a flushed cheek, and also a lot of Israeli makeup artists, they're doing this, and it just looks so beautiful. They look like really bronzy, and then at the end they just chisel the cheek with like a really soft pink, and it just looks so beautiful. Just gonna take a little bit of that and also do it on my forehead. Like if I do my cheeks with it, I just bring it around my forehead, sometimes into the nose, just because it makes it look more cohesive. Just a thought. Finally, I'm gonna take a little more of that MAC translucent powder and lock this all in place once again, now because I have my blush on there, and I just want to make sure I mute that out a little bit. I'm not going to set this because I'm really not going anywhere, so that's just a waste of product. But if I did, I would go in with a nice toner or my Urban Decay All Nighter setting spray, or any other setting spray that you have that feels like you would love it on your skin. My baby, I love you. Hey, I can't hold you. You're so big. You're getting so big. You're not like 5 pounds, you know? My favorite looks, which is a monochrome. Look, I hate filming the intro. It's so personal. I just want to be like, what up? Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and Happy New Year. It's crazy to say that, but it's happened. What are you gonna do about it? I'm cracking up. Like I said, Happy New Year. Hope everyone's New Year is going smoothly. If you're gonna laugh, you come and film the intro. If you're gonna sit there and laugh and making noises, you film the intro. This is not a talk show. And I'm gonna blame it on Mason. God, I'm getting creases. Okay. Why did I say that? That wasn't even it. Shut up. That's not supporting me. Hey, ladies. Stop. Don't make me laugh. Because if I have to film this look again. Oh, shit. Gonna pay for it. Don't do it. I'm already reapplying makeup. Don't do it. Stop. For real. Huh? No, for real. You gotta stop. If you're gonna laugh, leave. If you're gonna laugh, you need to leave the room. I know, but you need to leave the other room. Go outside. Just go upstairs to the other apartment.